Today I'd like to show you the Eat for Health guide about how to understand food labels. When we're looking at food labels, it's really important to be able to compare food products fairly, that we look at the per 100 gram column rather than the per serve. So in this instance, over here, if we want to find out how much total fat is in a product, we would look at the total fat here. And we would see that there's 1.2 grams of total fat per 100 grams in this food product. With saturated fat, there's 0.3 grams per 100 grams. From that, I can determine 1.2 minus 0.3 equals 0.9. So I can determine that there's 0.9 grams of unsaturated fat in this food product. Unsaturated fat is the type of fat that is good for us. So my question now is this a good amount of fat, saturated fat, in this food product? This guide tells us what an acceptable amount of saturated fat is in a food product. If we look over here, if it's saturated fat, we should be aiming for less than 3 grams per 100 grams. This is 0.3 grams, and therefore it is an acceptable level. There are a few exceptions to this rule. When we're generally choosing foods with less than 10 grams per 100 grams is a good thing for total fats. So really making sure that this one over here is 10 grams or less for total fats. If it's a milk product, we want to choose less than 2 grams per 100 grams. And if it's for cheese or another product similar to cheese, we're looking at 15 grams per 100 grams for that food product. It's also a really good diagram here because it tells you some of the other names that can be used for saturated fat in the ingredients list. If we go over here to sugar, we can see that this information tells us that avoiding sugar is not completely necessary, but we do need to look for our sugar contents in our food. If a sugar content is more than 15 grams, we need to check that the sugar is not listed high in the ingredients list. And please be aware that there are other names for additional added sugar. So the type of food you're looking for in the ingredients list is sugar or any one of these names that also means sugar. And we're making sure in the ingredients list that sugar is not one of the products listed high in the ingredients list. The other thing that we're looking for is that there's no more than 15 grams per 100 grams. So this product falls within an acceptable range of sugar, which is 11.8 grams per 100 grams. In terms of salt, we talk about it in terms of sodium. It's sodium that's listed on the nutritional information package. They are not exactly the same thing. Other names for salt, ingredients that contain salt, are listed just down here. When you're choosing salt, you need to choose lower sodium options compared to other options which aren't low salt. And you're looking for foods with less than 400 milligrams per 100 grams. And less than 120 milligrams per 100 grams is best. So I can see here that this is halfway between 400 milligrams and 120, and therefore it is a good choice in terms of salt content. Another thing that we can look at also on the back of a nutritional information panel is fibre. So not all labels include fibre. The only time they really have to include fibre is if they make a health claim on the front of the package that says high in fibre or a good source of fibre. In that instance, they have to list fibre on the nutritional information panel. Other than that, it's not required. We can see here though that per 100 grams it contains 21.2 grams. However, when we look at fibre, we can see here that we should be looking at per serve. So breads and cereals with 3 grams or more per serve of fibre are a good choice. This is therefore a good choice. The other thing that you look for when you're looking on the back of a label is the ingredients list. The ingredients that are in a food are listed from most to least. Here we can see that the most thing in this product is cereals, and the cereals are wheat, oat bran and barley. Honey is another name for sugar. It appears further down the list. And we can see here also that sugar is listed as an ingredient, malt extract, honey. The other thing that we can know here is that it actually has added salt. So that is how you can look at the back of a nutrition label to determine if it has too much fat, salt, and sugar.